wanted to make a video showing how I use AI to generate images to use in my classroom. This has been kind of the latest thing with my students. They love the images that I share every week. And of course, this was an idea inspired by Brent. Here's the Bing homepage, and you'll just want to look for this little icon, which is Copilot. And when you click on there, if you're logged in, it'll take you to it'll have your history of whatever you searched. But it looks like any other chatbot, except it's got integrations to a lot of other services, and it gives you ideas of what you can ask. But they've got images, and I think that's so cool. Like, look at this image right here. That's a conversation piece, and my students would probably want to talk about it, or they'll giggle. And using images in the classroom is a powerful tool to help students generate language and questions. Question formation is really big. Oftentimes they'll ask questions about something. So let's generate. So I wanted to generate an image, and I want to generate an image of animals working on a car engine in a workshop. Make the image funny if you can. I would like students, I'm going to put here adult learners of English, to discuss, and I will be using this image for that purpose. So I want to specify what I want, partly because, number one, if you're working with children, there are safeguards in place which limit what output can be generated. And then also because I want the bot to get to know me, and I want it to start understanding how to respond to my requests better. So my students were recently learning vocabulary related to a workshop. And of course, I have this thing about trying to make topics more fun if I include cats or chickens. And so my favorite go-to is pictures of cats and chickens. So let's see if this is the type of image that I want. So now this is a little bit busy, but this is pretty cool because look, you've got characters here that, I don't know, this guy looks like he's up to no good. I don't know what kind of animal this guy is, or this guy over here. So because it is AI, you might have some kind of images that are blended together, or it may very much look like it's generated by AI, but that's okay because students are going to ask and they're going to talk about something. So if I want my students to be using the vocabulary word for engine, using the vocabulary word for cooling system, tools, the monkey has 2 wrenches, these are safety goggles, there are cables, which are a risk for electrocution. Again, my students are going to have a blast talking about this picture, maybe asking like, what kind of animal is this? And question formation is really difficult for students, especially at a lower level. So that's a really good picture. Let's take a look at the others. They're a little bit cartoony, so I might say, are there any safety hazards here being violated? And this looks like it's a younger, maybe a child, I think, from my perspective. Maybe this one, I don't know. But these are actually pretty good images. Look at this guy right here. I don't even know what's wrong with him. I imagine my students are thinking, what's wrong with him? Look, he's got like parts of an elephant. But again, if they're talking about the picture, that's more generated English speaking that's happening. So I'm okay with these pictures. They're not the best, but I'm going to say that's okay. I asked it to generate many animals, right? So it did what I wanted to. And I could download the pictures here. I could copy and paste them onto a document for editing, or onto slides. It says, can you add some text to the image? What tools are they using? Actually, I would like to know what tools they're using. So let's ask. Squirrel mechanic clutching a tiny wrench on its paws. The squirrel is tightening bolts with impressive precision. You know what? I like this. I've never tried this before. A mouse diagnostician. Interesting. A grease monkey. A fox grease monkey. So there are, well, I don't know which animal is which. But actually, this would be kind of cool also because I could now print out a picture and I could tell my students, hey, I'm going to read some descriptions. I want you to look for the description in your picture and identify if you've got that, if yours matches the description. So that is pretty cool. I like it. Let's go back to the image and I'm going to say, thank you. I like your response. Can you generate another image of animals in a workshop fixing up an old vehicle? Make it in a watercolor style and make the animals realistic. So I can ask for a different style every time. And I'm going to see what it gives me. Oops, I went to the Bing chat. Let's go back to Copilot. So it does that for you. Click Copilot. It'll go right back. But I find that if you accidentally click away, you kind of panic for a second. Aha, so these are the kind of images that I'm looking for. Yeah, look at this. So here you've got very realistic. Well, they're not. They're still goofy. And I like pictures that are goofy because students will giggle, they'll laugh. It lowers their affective filter so they're able to talk about something. So look at this giraffe. But yeah, it looks a lot better. And I don't even know what these tools are, but that's an image I might use. It's also, we could talk about the kind of car. We could talk about order of adjectives here. I wanted to focus on vocabulary for a workshop and machines, particularly the engine of that car. That might be interesting. I could also then extend it to a writing activity because I could say, all right, we've been talking about workshops. This is a picture. This is the image. I want you to write 4 sentences describing how you think this happened. What is happening in this picture? Tell me a story. And now I might give students time to write, but I always want to do it in pairs because dialogues are so much more fun. And then of course their creative juices start flowing. And so then we'll have funny dialogues that we can exchange and talk about. So yeah, these are pictures that I could use. So it makes it a lot more fun. Sure, I can go to Google and do an image search for a car engine or someone fixing a car. But again, I want to use a different strategy to engage my students. And I decided to ask for a cat flying a plane wearing pilot's gear. And here I got a couple others. Now, I don't know if this looks like what the actual instrument panel looks like for pilots, but it's a funny picture. And I could definitely use something like this if I maybe asked Copilot to generate maybe a couple more cats in the picture or a scene and not just a close-up of a cat. But here are the pictures that I did like. So I wanted some cats having a military briefing and some of them taking notes. And so here I got 4 different styles. Now, this is the kind of image that would probably be good for a dialogue or that students might be interested in hearing or talking about. Here are a few more. The prompt was, do the same, but this time make the cats outside with camping gear because maybe I want my students to talk about orienteering and I want them to talk about directions and camping. And there's grammar points that are targeted when I teach this particular lesson. So I was also looking for pictures that would elicit nouns that could serve as adjectives. So that's what I was focusing on. So this is how you create images. And I think there's a couple of tricky things to remember. Usually it's where my collections go after I save them because there is a button here you could click. You click here and then you're going to see all the different images. When you go back, you can just build from everything you've saved. Now here's the images of humans. I think I only saved one. I don't know if I saved them all, but the prompt was to get my students to talk about symptoms. So I wanted images of people that looked like they had symptoms of a cold. And so you can see here's my collection. So again, let me just show you what a slide would look like with the content that I created and how I might present it to the students. This is just a screenshot of one of my slides. And I actually gave 2 choices because students aren't necessarily going to flock to this funny picture. Some of them might want a more realistic, if you call this realistic, a more realistic scenario. And then I give very clear instructions. Here it says, choose a picture and write 4 sentences related to the photo. Use as many vocabulary words as you can think are related. Remember to check your verb tenses. So this was a partner project, and my students were of a lower level, but I also wanted to have them write and then check each other's sentences. Here's another one, and this one includes those pictures that we generated, except there's 2 different ones again, and I decided to go with realistic animals. And again, it says choose a picture and write 4 sentences related to the photo. Use as many vocabulary words as you can think are related. Remember to check your verb tenses. And I keep the instructions similar every time because then my students kind of start to internalize the expectation that, okay, I need to choose a picture. I need to write 4 sentences and I need to check for vocabulary words. And finally, with my partner, check the verb tenses. And so by the end of the week, after we've done this a few times, I'll say, all right, you're going to do this, but now you're going to do this individually. And remember everything you did with your partner. And so that gives me a way to assess whether they were able to actually internalize what I was hoping that they would. Students are super excited to share what they wrote about, to act out their dialogues. And the best part is that throughout the day or throughout the week, many of the lines from the dialogues, because they are funny in nature, students will quote them. And so again, they're repeating this vocabulary. And so that's another way that I can get them to use it and practice it. So thank you for watching.